And we're live. Welcome, everybody, here to the Lakers Lowdown Podcast. I'm Anthony Irwin, Lakers insider for Lakers Daily. Today on the show, we're going to be talking about Klay Thompson and the offseason as it is still stands pretty similar to the last time that we spoke. Not no actual new developments as it stands right now. Even counting Klay, we'll get into Klay here in a second. A quick reminder, please do hit that subscribe button here on youtube.com/@Lakers Lounge. It helps the show. It helps this thing grow and so on and so forth there. Hit that like button as well. That also helps the show. Today on this, we're going to be talking about Klay Thompson. We're going to be talking about a really weird situation that's going on right now that I don't know if I've seen very often, if ever, having to do with Klay Thompson and why some people with the Lakers aren't positive that they're fully out on Klay. I don't know. We'll see. And then what comes next if the Lakers don't have Klay Thompson in the building moving forward? Who are they looking at? What are they working on? All of those good things, including one player in particular who I feel like is the likeliest addition as things stand right now, that being DeMar DeRozan. That's one of those spots where I wish what I was reporting wasn't actually the case because I'm not really all that interested in DeMar DeRozan. So we have a whole bunch to get to. Let's go ahead and get to it. Again, please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that like button. And let's dive on in. So I know that you guys don't really care to be taken behind, or some of you guys don't really care to be taken behind the curtain on these things. But I figure I may as well offer up what I know about the situation and how I believe we arrived at this place. So first and foremost, Klay Thompson and the Golden State Warriors weren't able to come to an agreement, and the two sides said, all right, everybody wishes everybody nothing but the best. Although I don't think Klay wishes the Golden State Warriors anything but the best, but still, the two sides agreed to part ways. Klay Thompson, it becomes known throughout the league that he is available and he is no longer going to be a Golden State Warrior. At that point, he wanted to meet with the Dallas Mavericks. He wanted to meet with the Lakers. I believe the Clippers were also on the list, and the Orlando Magic were also on the list. And then, the list kind of got whittled down over time to the Dallas Mavericks and the Lakers. But initially, right when news dropped that Klay Thompson was going to be a free agent, I was told right in that moment that the Lakers felt like, cautiously optimistic. Well, maybe, just maybe. We'll take a meeting. We'll see what comes of it. We'll see what needs to be done to be able to make that actually work out. And they in those conversations and given how things kind of played out between the two sides, they walked away from it feeling like they were a distant second place to the Dallas Mavericks. And I would even go so far as when I went to bed last night, I thought I was going to wake up to an Adrian Wojnarowski or all of the newsbreakers. I guess Mark Stein has been absolutely killing the story. So I figured maybe it would be Mark Stein announcing that Klay Thompson was going to be a Dallas Maverick. And then that wasn't the case. For whatever reason, somehow, some way, Klay Thompson wasn't a Dallas Maverick this morning. And I was kind of wondering, well, what the hell's going on there? So I started asking around why isn't this done yet? Why isn't Klay a Maverick yet? What's going on? And I was met with even more optimism this morning than I felt at the very beginning of this process. The Lakers, I was told this morning, kind of like their chances. Maybe, just maybe, they had spoken with Klay Thompson. They had talked about deal parameters and all of that stuff. And the deal that I had heard that got thrown around there was in the ballpark of $80 million over 4 years, a $20 million a year type of contract. And once again, just like was the case with Dan Hurley, just like was the case with, however many other potential free agent additions that you want to talk about, the Lakers walked away from those conversations and offering that deal, feeling confident. They liked their chances that they were going to be able to get Klay Thompson. That's why I sent that tweet this morning, that I was sensing a lot more optimism from the Lakers standpoint there. And I also made sure to say that the story was still developing. Reading comprehension is difficult. People are dunking on it, whatever. I've moved on. The next thing you know, we go through the rest of the day, and basically both the Dallas Mavericks and the Lakers have been working to figure out a whether it's sending players to a third team, whether it's convincing the Golden State Warriors through draft capital to take on an extra contract, or whatever it is. The Lakers and the Dallas Mavericks have been trying to find, the Mavericks were able to find a third team, right? They sent, according to the reports as they stand right now, they have agreed to send Josh Green to the Charlotte Hornets in order to make this work. And the Lakers, I guess, according to reports that are out there, the Lakers, I guess, have said that or I guess offered D'Angelo Russell's expiring contract to it was Chris Haynes, who says that the Lakers offered D'Angelo Russell to the Golden State Warriors, and the Warriors said, no, we don't want D'Angelo Russell. The Warriors, I'm told right now, don't want any additional salary as part of this deal. And that's why right now, that's why I say maybe in that second bullet point, right now, there is no deal that is actually worked out. There's confidence that they'll be able to figure out a deal. But for whatever reason, or actually for a very clear reason, the Warriors don't want to take on additional money here just so that Klay Thompson can get paid. The Warriors are essentially basically telling Klay, like, no, you could take the non-taxpayer mid-level exception. We'll help facilitate that if that's what you want, but we aren't going to take on bad money just so that you can get paid what you think you feel like you should get paid. Obviously, that relationship between Klay Thompson and the Golden State Warriors is very contentious, and that's where things kind of stand right now. Wow, that's a lot of money for Jason Tatum. And so the that's where things stand. I would still say it would be like a shocking development if the Lakers were somehow to walk away with Klay Thompson. It would be shocking if that trade with Golden State fell through, and an already contentious relationship would just be just absolutely in the shitter. But it's so like, this is why I say I've never really seen a situation like this where a team leaks to the newsbreakers that there's an agreement in place without the extra work that needs to be done to actually execute the deal. And that's like all day, like the Lakers, I guess you could have said, because I've spoken to people who thought, they're close to the Lakers, who thought that they have essentially what felt like a deal in place. Now, eventually Klay winds up choosing the Mavericks, and the Mavericks are leaking that. Maybe they're just speaking it into existence, or whatever it is, leaking it into existence. But as things stand right now, there's no deal that's, agreed to. And the Warriors don't have to agree to a deal that they don't like just so that Klay can get paid. And there just aren't any other avenues that Klay can, or that can be taken that involve Klay getting paid the amount that he wants to get paid. So we'll see. I would be really, really shocked if this fell through completely. That would be uncharted territory. I don't know. You would have it super awkward with Josh Green having to go back to Dallas. You'd have Klay Thompson being a free agent and now going to these other teams and saying, hi, what can we figure it out now? I don't know how that would play out if that is actually how it plays out. And apparently there's a lot of confidence out there, probably correct confidence, that a deal will be able to be figured out and Klay Thompson will be a Dallas Maverick eventually. But I think it's also like there's a non-zero chance that people kind of jumped the gun here and announced Klay to Dallas without an actual agreement in place that would allow Klay to go to Dallas. I might be being too litigious here to point all of that stuff out, but I feel like it's kind of important that a trade actually needs to be agreed to by all parties to actually leak the deal. It just seems super odd. Now, reporting aside, maybe I should get different hats. Like I'll have like a one of those fedoras, right? That when I'm talking about things that I'm hearing throughout the league, and then maybe I'll have like a Laker hat over here, like a fan hat that allows me to talk more from like a podcaster perspective. But from a fan perspective, 4 years, $80 million is steep for a guy in Klay Thompson who was benched for Brandon Pajemski. That's a lot of money. And I did notice in my mentions that there were plenty of people who were like, dodged a bullet. And I don't think that's an unreasonable stance. I really honestly don't. I think that, to those who do have those questions about the way that he is aged and the way that he will continue to diminish, that is certainly concerning. So I do like the idea, and I did like the idea of having a shooter of Klay's respect level throughout the league, where if teams see him open, they freak the hell out and they run as fast as they can to make sure that Klay Thompson does not remain open. And that opens up your offense in a variety of ways that the Lakers just haven't been able to enjoy. Even with D'Angelo Russell having the shooting season that he did, he's not like really a catch and shoot threat. So like no team, it's just different when it's Klay Thompson out there compared to basically anybody else in the history of the sport other than his teammate Steph Curry. So I understand the concern with it at 4 years, $80 million. I definitely think the back end of that deal would have really hurt, and that basically the Lakers were gambling. It may still be actually gambling. That Klay. I'm not willing to say that Klay to the Lakers is 100% dead. It's like 95% dead. Maybe it's like 98% dead, but I'm not willing to go so far as to say that this thing is absolutely dead and done until I actually see that trade agreed to. But if I look, Ray Allen is in that group too. I think Klay Thompson is actually a better shooter though than Ray Allen. Sorry. But and it was also funny too, because I saw Woj report that part of the reason this felt like a little spin to help Rob a little bit here. But when they said that, look, Klay there's no state income tax in Texas. You just see what could you do? The Lakers offered more money, and it didn't wind up mattering. I'm saying this from experience living in Texas. Property taxes are probably more painful than income taxes. Like they have, owning a house out here is not exactly cheap, and the idea that like it is just apples to apples, where California state income taxes. Now, look, you have California property taxes too, but I did find all of that kind of funny. But yeah, I in terms of Klay Thompson, the player, I thought that there were interesting things that he offered, especially the shooting, that I was really interested by and intrigued by. So I also understand fans that are kind of iffy about it. I think that that's also a very fair stance as well. But I do like when I saw that the Lakers were not going to get Klay Thompson, the immediate feeling that I got was like, oh man, I kind of wanted that guy. And so we'll see how the market actually plays out. My other point here before we move on to what the rest of the offseason might look like is I said this on a few episodes of this show. I said this just last night when I did the Coach's Den with my guys Rome and Zay and Shub. how the Lakers are at an intel deficiency where they are so focused essentially on limiting the amount of information that gets out of the organization that I think they have, to a certain extent, closed off themselves from very important information. And one thing that I always try to do in my reporting is I try to isolate to you guys if this is a league source or if this is a source close to the Lakers. And when I said this morning that I felt, or I sensed, more confidence on the part of the Lakers here, I'm doing that on purpose so that you guys can kind of see if it doesn't fall through. Oh crap, it happened again. It was misplaced confidence. And because, coming off of the Hurley thing, the Lakers maintained confidence there that Hurley was going to like their offer and respect their offer and take their offer. They had the utmost confidence that Kawhi Leonard a few years back was going to be a Laker. Like, they always seem to be very, very confident and have kind of a rosy image of their stance throughout the league. And, I think sometimes that gets you in trouble because, it doesn't allow you to be fully honest about what is actually going on in the situation. And in this case with Klay Thompson, it certainly appears like once again the Lakers convince themselves, oh yeah, 4 for 80. Like, who's doing better than that? We really think that we got this guy. Because there were people that I talked to who felt like, yeah, I really feel like we're getting this guy. And I just, instead of like, because it's a big difference saying that, so-and-so within the Lakers feels like they're getting the guy compared to so-and-so with the Lakers says they got the guy. So I wanted to make sure, I wanted to update the story this morning, and I wanted to say that, yeah, I am told that the Lakers feel very confident here in this, and they are a hell of a lot more confident than they were, when we all went to bed last night. And actually, they're more confident than they were at the beginning of all of this when Klay Thompson was first made available via free agency. And to me, the bigger deal here is twofold. One, Rob Pelinka, close a fucking deal. Like, try that one time. You just do it. Try it on the first time, one time. You weren't able to close the deal with Ty Lue. You weren't able to close the deal with Monty Williams. He got impatient and took the Phoenix job. You convinced yourself that you wound up not making an offer to Jason Kidd because of public pressure. You didn't close the deal with Dan Hurley, didn't close the deal with Kawhi Leonard. I can keep on going. And this is just another example here, let alone all of the trades that you weren't able to get done. How long were we waiting for the Miles Turner and Buddy Hield thing? How long were we waiting for the Lakers to trade Russell Westbrook? Hell, the only deal that you closed you closed nice and quickly was the deal that wound up crippling the Lakers organization for years to come. So, and that being the Russell Westbrook trade. Rob, do your job. Again, it's just like I told to Raj that one day. Rob, I don't need to hear about how difficult it is to get this done. I'm sure if he was doing a press conference right now and he got a question about Klay Thompson, he would say, well, I can't force the guy to sign here. You can sell him on the image. You can sell him on the vision. That was your entire job with Dan Hurley, was to sell these people on the vision that is the Los Angeles Lakers. And it can't just be, oh yeah, we all walk around, we say mama mentality to each other and high five, and that's our plan for the future. That can't be it. Where's the vision? LeBron's giving you every opportunity here. He's willing to take a pay cut to make it so that you can put together a formidable roster next year as he tries to win a championship over the last 2 years with you. What is it exactly that you do here, Rob? What are we waiting for, Rob? How many times are we going to have to sit here and hear the same damn thing? Oh, man. Shoot, you know what? It's tough. Klay Thompson just picked Dallas. You know how much Klay Thompson loves water? You know how much Klay Thompson loves the coast? Klay Thompson's dad won championships as a Laker. Grew up in LA. All of those things. He winds up taking less in Dallas than you offered. Why is that, Rob? What aren't you doing as part of these selling practices that is making it so that you keep on fumbling the bag with these opportunities? What's the deal? Anyway, the other takeaway here is with the confidence level and the intel and all of that stuff. This is going to have to be a major investment into the organization. Hiring NBA scouts, not paying people minimum wage to watch League Pass, not like not paying people to just walk around and tell each other how highly they think of you. I need people throughout the league, having conversations with people throughout the league so that the Lakers can have a more realistic understanding of the league around them. Because right now, I don't know how many times what the Lakers think and what I'm hearing from league people is so different. And it's one thing when the message coming from people close to the Lakers is intentionally different and they're trying to throw people off of whatever scent or whatever. That's one thing. That is a very important and viable skill, but it's something different altogether when people are saying, yeah, this is who they don't have a chance at, and the Lakers are telling me, no, we really have a chance. Like, there can't be that big of a gap with all of these conversations. And Dan Wojcicki came on this show before, and I've spoken to people about this since, how the Lakers, or the smart organizations will hire somebody to just walk around at their team's basketball games and walk through the lower bowls and just pay attention to conversations that are taking place with people that they identify as people who need to be listened to. Like, yeah, they spy, essentially, is what I'm saying. The Clippers believe very thoroughly in the Patriot Act. Like, they are out there. They're trying to make sure that they stay absolutely up to date when it comes to information that is going around the league, because information is power. Information is capital. Information is a currency in the NBA. It's why the Lakers were okay with Woj and with Shams pretending JJ Redick wasn't hired, because it would have meant that I broke the story. Like, that currency matters. There's a trade-off there. There's a bartering of information that takes place all the time. And the Lakers need to get out ahead of some of this stuff so that they can actually offer up some information on what they're hearing about other teams in those conversations. You know how many times I talk to people throughout the league and the conversation is merely like the conversation starts with, hey, what are you hearing? About what? Well, this, but also, what else are you hearing throughout the league? And it's an exchange of information. That's how this always tends to go. And the Lakers just haven't been a part of that practice. They have actively avoided that practice. And I think it really hurts them in moments like this, where they really feel like they, had a better chance at Klay than perhaps they did. And that's something that they're really going to have to adjust to moving forward. So the other thing that is obviously on everybody's mind is what comes next. Well, one thing that comes next is that Goga Bitadze is now off of the board. He is staying in Orlando. It's another center that the Lakers, I don't know how interested they were. I don't even know if Rob Pelinka knows who that guy is, to be honest. But like it is a center who nerds really seem to like. If he was available on the minimum, he was not available on the minimum. 3 years, $25 million for him. That one, it seems a little steep, but whatever. What comes next is Lakers are still in conversations with teams around the league. The two teams that I've heard most about is the conversations with Portland, which are, I don't think there's any real development there. That Portland wants both of the Lakers picks, and the Lakers don't want to give up both picks for Jerami Grant and that big contract. The other team that I tweeted about yesterday or last night, right before I went to bed, was the Brooklyn Nets and how they showed interest in D'Angelo Russell at the trade deadline. And the problem there in those conversations was the Lakers didn't want to give up additional draft capital to move off of D'Angelo Russell. And and Brooklyn was expecting additional draft capital because because of the player option that D'Angelo Russell wound up opting into, right? So Brooklyn winds up kind of wisely sidestepping the extra year that would have been guaranteed on D'Angelo Russell's deal. Now that D'Angelo Russell is an expiring contract, though, I have been told that Brooklyn is more interested in him, and that the Lakers and Brooklyn have been in conversations pretty consistently, mostly revolving around the wing position, whether it's Dorian Finney-Smith, Cam Johnson, whatever. Those are the two teams that I've heard the most about. The other thing that I'll say, because of how insulated the Lakers are, a lot of the trades that the Lakers do wind up making, you don't hear as much about. So, this is where I will cop to my own limitations in terms of information about the Lakers. I am not all knowing. And those are the two teams that I've heard about so far. But I also have been told that the Lakers are extremely active in trying to move D'Angelo Russell. And they are, basically leaving no stone unturned. They've spoken to the Utah Jazz about D'Lo. They've spoken to basically every team with cap space about D'Lo, and we'll see what kind of comes out of all of those things. But we'll that's, I think, what comes next, or what everybody is kind of waiting for, is what is the deal with D'Lo, and what is the update now with Portland and with Brooklyn. And I guess we just got to keep on waiting. The other name that I would say I would pretty confidently tie most closely to the Lakers is DeMar DeRozan. He, from LA, we know that the Lakers like a story. We know that LeBron and DeMar DeRozan, that LeBron respects DeMar, and I think DeMar is of that kind of caliber, who of player and of just kind of cachet around the league, that LeBron would be willing to take less to help get DeMar to the Lakers. If it's DeMar at the NTMLE with the non-taxpayer mid-level exception, I'm all right with it. Like, it's fine if it doesn't cost you anything other than just using that exception and hard capping you below the first apron, then okay. But there's some talk that I'm hearing about a sign and trade for DeMar DeRozan because he wants to be paid more than the non-taxpayer mid-level exception. And if it's like, I'm already not the biggest fan of DeMar's game. And if it does cost actual stuff so that DeMar can get paid more, and thus less valuable on the trade market too, I'm really, really not in. Like, it's just not a player I'm all that interested in, especially under those circumstances, which means it's probably going to happen. It just, anytime I start to talk myself in on something, it just seems like the opposite thing seems to happen. So we'll see what kind of comes of those talks. But of all the individual players out there that I could link directly to the Lakers, I would say DeMar DeRozan. The issue there, though, is that, again, with DeMar, the Lakers would have to do more work to make that happen. They need to open up roster spots. They need to lower their finances. They need to talk to LeBron about how much less he would have to take in order to get the Lakers below that first apron and make that exception fully available to DeMar. All of that stuff needs to be taken care of, but it does kind of seem to me like that's their top focus right now. I wish it wasn't. I wish that I could say that it definitely wasn't going to happen, but as it stands right now, it does look like that's where things are heading. And I guess it's a story. I don't know. All right, we have a ton A ton of super comments. So I'm just going to go ahead and play this thing and dive on into all of them. We have a ton though. So Matthew starts us off with, what kind of show are we getting tonight? Favorable Fred or antagonistic Anthony? I don't know. I would say I was kind of in that middle ground right there. I'm definitely not favorable. I do think that like the Lakers once again are being bit by the lack of internal investment into the organization, right? With the intel that we talk about. And then also, I just don't think Rob is very good at his job. I'm just going to say it. Like, I just, um, the one year that I thought we got a good showing from Rob Pelinka, he wound up like ripping that team up from the roots over the next few years. And kind of like all of the goodwill I would have had for Rob kind of gone when he shows that he doesn't seem to understand what made those teams special. So I don't know, man. I would probably say, now that I'm saying it out loud, probably antagonistic Anthony, because it's just I don't believe in this team being organized enough to get all of the things that they want to get done. Justin Tyndall writes, Jeannie is the one that pays Rob's salary. She's just as clueless as he is. Everybody punks Pelinka, and this clown show exists on Jeannie's watch. Absolutely. The cliche you always hear is how shit rolls downhill. And that's 100% true. Everybody who's ever had a manager has dealt with a manager just kind of lashing out at you. Hell, I've been getting lashed out by Laker fans all day today because the thing that looked like it might happen didn't wind up happening, and Lakers fans, instead of lashing out at the team that they root for, are going to lash out at the next closest thing, which happens to be my Twitter account right now. But shit rolls downhill. Well, I think the same can kind of be said the inverse of that too, right? Where, well, if shit rolls downhill, you have to ask yourself where the shit started its descent. Why is there shit that is rolling downhill right now? Like, from the Lakers perspective, you need, I think, a stronger owner who has a better understanding and better instincts for what her organization needs. And I just don't find it in me to think that what the Lakers need is more Rob Pelinka, more Linda Rambis, more Kurt Rambis. Like that, like those are, she's probably bringing in all kinds of unpaid, consultants, probably asking Phil Jackson what he thinks the Lakers should do, talking to Magic about what he thinks the Lakers should do. And I'm just here to say that, like, the way that the Lakers are operating right now is, I don't know, a little embarrassing, honestly. Justin Tyndall, again, I believe Klay is washed 0 for 10 in a playing game. Didn't want him, but there's no free agent talent. Trades are the only option, and there's no backup bigs left. Yeah, I've made this point before, but between the draft class not being very good and this free agent class also not being very good, I've thought that the Lakers' best path forward here was going to be using draft capital to update the roster and upgrade the roster. But when you use the first round draft pick that you had at your disposal on draft night and you keep that player, and then you have this policy that Rob Pelinka does where he prefers to go into the season with one first round pick at his disposal, and you whittle your draft stash or your draft cachet or your draft asset cachet down from 3 potential first round picks to 1, then you can kind of see why the Lakers are sitting here struggling to get anything done. The other part of this too, and I know everybody always talks about the Laker tax. At some point, like, can we start considering the possibility of a Rob tax? Like, his reputation around the league is just not very good. The way that he operates is not very well respected by his peers and by the people he's trying to negotiate these deals against, or with, is probably the better preposition to use there. I think Rob considers negotiation this inherently confrontational thing, but I think a lot of the best GMs and executives in the NBA or in all of sports are the kinds of executives where the other person on the other side of that line feel like that person is also working with them. No, I don't expect Rob to genuinely care that the Utah Jazz get better on their end of a trade, but you also can't make it seem as if you're unwilling to work and come off of your stance in these negotiations. And that's the sense that I tend to get when I talk to people who have talked to Rob Pelinka in those kinds of settings. Jason Kelly, hey, Rob, bet you $20 million that you suck at your job, and Braun was right. Rob ain't a good negotiator. DeMar ain't it. Doesn't fit with JJ. I see no lies. Like, I don't know. Like, I thought it was like really genius PR from LeBron to basically say, like, look, I'm doing my part. I did everything that I could to, give them more financial flexibility. My very presence here, I called Klay Thompson, so that maybe I could convince him to go there too. I'm sorry, I'm giving him every possibility or every opportunity, and he's just not doing it. And on the other end of that, if Rob isn't able to figure something out, LeBron has a full max contract waiting for him. So win-win for LeBron. And then while that is all going on, Rob wasn't able to get the job done. So LeBron has that in that kind of turf war between Clutch and the Lakers here that just never seems to end. Justin Tyndall again. So glad Pelinka does his job in the offseason. Connect and Bronny, and that's it. But Jeannie thinks she has a competent front office. I don't know what to say to some of these things. Like, Connect was a good pick, but do you really give credit to somebody for bending over to pick the $20 bill that floats right by their shoe? Right? Like, if it wasn't exactly some unearthed gold that the Lakers reached for, and we look back having reached the season and said, man, look what they found. Look at that. Same kind of goes for Austin, who you would say maybe does fit into that that category. Wow, the Lakers found untapped potential there with Austin Reeves. Well, that was Austin's agent trying to get Austin to the Lakers, and Rob barely knew who Austin was when they showed up. Brandon Omang writes, I pivot to Gary Trent Jr. for the mid-level exception and trade for Grant and possibly Rob Will. I think those two wings would fit well with AR, LeBron, and AD. Who would you want to get? I'm kind of all in on Jerami Grant. I think, yes, he's overpaid. That contract isn't good, but he shot damn near 40% if it wasn't actually 40% last year. He's a long athletic wing who at one point in his career played good defense, and maybe the Lakers are able to tap back into that defensive potential. But he's probably at the top of my list. And then I would probably say either of Brooklyn's wings, whether that's Dorian Finney-Smith or Cam Johnson. And then, coming in at like number 75 is DeMar DeRozan. Landon Archuleta writes, could Rob have not tried to find a third team for D'Lo? He gets paid to figure the shit out. Yeah, I mean, Dallas was able to, right, with Josh Green. And yeah, Green has, has more, his stock is higher than D'Lo's is right now. But the idea that like it was just impossible for the Lakers to find a third team there is kind of crazy. It's kind of insane. And they're paying for it, right? That inability to get creative in that moment is something that is going to cost them potentially Klay Thompson. Laker XDX writes, is there still any interest in Kuz? Yeah, there's still interest in Kuz. I'm sure I'll check in on it, but I'm pretty sure the Lakers have had conversations with Washington. They did have conversations with Washington back at the deadline. No reason to believe that they wouldn't resume those conversations this offseason. Kuz is another guy who Washington is going to feel like should cost 2 picks, and the Lakers are going to feel like shouldn't. The other thing that kind of complicates that whole situation is I don't know how interested Washington is in trading for Rui, who, would normally be a part of that deal. So then you have to bring in a third team, and that has its own set of complications. But the Lakers would like to have Kuz back, and I'm told that Kuz would like to be back. Rez asks Miles Bridges. I know. Well, here's how I put it on Twitter. One, first and foremost, I want to be absolutely clear. I have no interest in Miles Bridges whatsoever. I don't want him in the NBA. Like, I don't think that, like, just because you're a talented basketball player, you should just get all of these opportunities while you're a shitty human being. So say that right off the top. I don't want him. I have also been told that the Lakers don't have interest in Miles Bridges at basically every step. Whenever it comes up, I ask because I've seen some of their tendencies in the past. And I just ask, like, this, there's no way, right? Please just tell me that this isn't on the table. And when I've asked about it, I've been told that no, that it's not on the table. They aren't interested in Miles Bridges. But those things change when the situation becomes dire enough. Those things change when you become desperate. And after Klay, say things don't work out with DeMar either. How desperate do the Lakers get? We'll see. Just Chill writes, Rob can move heaven and hell, but if players don't want to play with LeBron, no amount of money will matter. Desafortunadamente. Sorry, I'm not as good as I should be speaking Spanish, but no, I don't know. I don't really buy the whole players don't want to play with LeBron thing. We heard that at the end of Kobe's career too. LeBron is like this generation that's growing up's MJ. The idea that like none of them would want to play with LeBron is just kind of crazy. So I don't necessarily buy that. Do I maybe buy that, agents around the league look at the Lakers and maybe advise their clients to stay away from that circus? Possibly. I could maybe see that. But in terms of like players actively avoiding LeBron James specifically, I don't see that. I just don't. Vinny Jaj writes, is LaVine the worst case scenario the Lakers can consider? I mentioned this, man, I don't remember. I've done a lot of talking recently, but I mentioned it on a previous show, and it does kind of cross it has crossed my timeline. It has crossed my messages and stuff like that. Just people kind of like wondering, like, if things get bad enough and Chicago's offering a pick, doesn't it make sense to maybe send D'Lo and Vincent, Reeves, or I guess LaVine makes $43 million this year. So if you send D'Lo, who makes 18, and you send Vincent, who makes 11, I think this year, maybe 12. So that's $30 million. And then maybe you add one of your minimum contracts, that being, whichever one you want to talk about, whether it's Cam or whatever. And then I think you're able to also add JHS to that, who isn't going to play on next year's team anyway. And if that's all it takes, and you get a first round pick back in that for LaVine, if you get absolutely desperate, if the whole world is falling apart, I don't know. Man, this is a dark timeline. Like, man, this is a very, very dark timeline. All right, final one here from Mike Lopez. Sign Miles Bridges and trade for Vucevic. We haven't got a small forward that could guard all three positions, and he's very athletic. No, the basketball talent is inarguable. He had a very good season again last year because he's a good basketball player. He's just also a terrible person. And I haven't seen enough from him that would, indicate that he's changed his ways and his approach to life. And I'm not interested. There are people who do compartmentalize those things, right? Where like people are willing to say like, look, people still listen to Michael Jackson. Still people still listen to Kanye West, and to those people who are able to separate the artist from the art, I'm not judging. I'm really not. I'm just saying from my personal perspective, I don't want that anywhere around my team. I don't want my team to represent that. So just as I respect somebody else's interest in that and their ability to compartmentalize those things, I would ask that you respect my disinterest there, because I don't compartmentalize those things. I miss Kanye's music. I miss Michael Jackson's music. I'm not interested in them. I'm not. All right. That is going to do it here for this episode of I'll just really quickly roll through here and see if I have anything that I missed. I don't believe I did. It is there were almost 200 comments here, so I'm not going to be able to scroll through here and find all of them. And we'll see. But I am going to cut this one off here, and I'm going to put this up ready to go, and try to get this out for the podcast audience as quickly as possible, because of the time of year that it is, and because of how quickly information changes and situations change. So I'm going to go ahead and call this one here, and just kind of move on, especially given what's going on in the chat right now. Just going to move on completely and pretend I'm not seeing it. And I'm probably going to go live again tonight, depending on what we get with updates and stuff like that. And have a great rest of your day. Make somebody else's, and I will talk to you tomorrow or in a little bit.